Anyway, John Skelton. So Skelton was a Tudor poet, and he invented his own sort of demotic and distinctive form of poetry, which was later called Skeltonics, and it uses very short rhyming lines. I think Robert Graves wrote a poem that began, "Nothing could be dafter than John Skelton's laughter," and that gives you the form. He became rector of Diss near Norwich in 1505. Before that, he had been the tutor to the young Prince Henry, who then went on to become King Henry VIII. So he was a man used to finding his way around the court until he got expelled from it. His most famous poem is Philip Sparrow, and that was written as a funeral mass for the dead sparrow of a young woman, Jane Scrope, who was training to be a nun at Carrow Priory, Norwich. And I've tried to find Norwich at Carrow Priory. It's a ruin, I'm told, but it's hard to track down, believe me. But as part of this project, perhaps the ruins of Carrow Priory will be discovered and brought to the public. I was told it was once in the factory of the Coleman's mustard factory. And it's still there. I couldn't find the Coleman's mustard factory because they shut that down. Anyway, Skelton. The other thing, I do believe Skelton's such a bright poet, and so as I went around as part of my research, I discovered that in Skelton's day there were more churches in Norwich than in any other city north of the Alps, which also meant that at the time there was more stained glass in the windows of churches in Norwich than in any other European city. So this is my campaign to get the stained glass window to Skelton erected in a Norwich church. I suggest St. Peter of Mancroft. It's a rather lovely church. Anyway, my campaign starts here. I call my poem, and it's written in the style of Skelton, which is like a sort of Tudor rap. And I call it a matinal on John Skelton's day, being the brightest day of the year. Domine, fiat lux, veni mecum dux. In dark I walk the street, hear the echo of my feet, feel the skin of night, longing for day's light. The cold wind's bite makes my steps go faster, in search of the master who spoke last rites under candlelights. For Jane who'd lost her sparrow, poor Jane who lived at Carrow, an innocent young maid, her world cast in shade. No hope or comfort could be made till Skelton stopped and prayed. Then light lifted up her heart, though she and sparrow were apart. Now I seek Skelton out, both within and without, in places of every kind, and in the crevices of mind. Listen, even as I walk, the city seems to talk, pointing me ahead, far from my bed. Look where the sunrise draws my eyes, shines in us beams until it seems a place for dreams, a glow upon my face, a time for grace. Here the church bells ring, the dawn chorus sing. So re mi benedicite, Angeli Domini. From the church nearby, I hear voices lifting high. To the Lord sing of joys, and make thankful noise, all in this righteous city. There is no cause for pity, no call at all for sadness. Fill your hearts with gladness, and know that he is God. Some people he made odd, and even his priest poet is content that you know it. He herds his thoughts to keep, in pastures we are his sheep, and the harvest we all reap. So enter the gates with thanks, to courtrooms and to banks, all folk of varied ranks, in park and shop and steeple, we are all his people. Raise our voices in praise, be thankful all our days, for truth will always last, in present and in past. So spoke the priest at altar, without halt or falter. Praise our poet in psalm, words that wake us calm, the day's gentle alarm, to threaten us no harm. I heard the psalm of the century in the place of sanctuary, set in Skelton's rhymes adapted for our times, for no poet was ever lighter, no brighter any writer to colour our sight. To see in a fresh light, it needs a shining setting, a window in church letting, the sun stream through glass, where beams through staining pass, and light up anew Skelton in fresh hue.